My name is Rodney LaBruce. I'm the host of this new podcast. Podcast is called Apex Ascend. We are making an ascension to reach the peak of our abilities. I appreciate you stopping by. We got a lot in store for you over the coming weeks, and we want to invite you to make sure that however you're joining us on this podcast, that you like, share, subscribe, reach out to us, talk to us, communicate to us. Let us know what's on your mind, because we want to hear from you, because this is the podcast where truth meets transformation. It's not all about talk. I think it's been enough talk over the last years and years. But this is where real talk meets real transformation meets real action. We're going to be doing some action. It's going to be some activity involved. All right. I'm looking over here. I'm looking at this camera, and it's a little close for my liking. It feels like I'm trying to haunt you in your dreams or something. I'm not really trying to, but I do want you to remember us. All right. But we'll come up with a fix for that. But this is what it is for right now. So this podcast, Apex Ascend, it's more than just a conversation. We are going to be talking with people in the community and outside of the community. We are going to be allowing people to come on and express some of the issues that they're facing in their lives. Because since we're not just about talking about solutions and actions, we are going to take these issues that people bring up and come up with real solutions and actions to solve them. It's not just talk, y'all. Tired of talking. I hope you are too. So I'm grateful and thankful for you to join us for this very, 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 very first episode in many, many, many more to come. Now, what are we doing? For context, let me tell you who I am. My name is Rodney LaBruce again, and I am running for Congress in 2026. March of 2026 is when the primary is going to be held. It's for District 30 in Texas. So if you know anyone in that district, if you're in that district, I hope I can depend on your support. Even if you're not in the district, you can always help. Spread the word, send some dineros through the campaign. You know. Let me tell you this. I was so excited. A couple of days ago, I saw that our first donation, recurring donation, nonetheless, came in from someone outside of the district, outside of Texas even. Someone living in Oregon found out about the campaign and reached out and decided that they wanted to donate to the campaign and make that donation recurring. You can too. You know what? While I'm here and talking about it, you can make a recurring donation to the campaign. Just go to actblue.com, look up my name, you'll find the campaign, and you can set up a $5, $10, $20 recurring donation. Recurring means every month, or you can do it one time. Anything is appreciated because we need it all. But that's not why we're here today. This is not a campaign podcast. This is for me to come on with you to talk about real life issues and real life solutions. So, since it's more than a conversation, there needs to be some structure as to how we carry out the action part of this podcast. We're going to talk, but there needs to be some action as a result of all the talking that we're going to be doing, right? So we have this social welfare organization, and it's called the United Advocacy and Leadership Coalition, UALC for short. Y'all remember way back in the day, we had these social organizations, the grand poobahs of the Happy Days, things like that. These social organizations. And I hope that while I do this podcast over time, I get better at communication. But our history has a lot of social activity in it, where people came together weekly, monthly to address social issues. That's how things happen. That's how change occurred. But through the course of time, these social organizations began to dwindle, along with labor unions. The strength in numbers, those numbers began to decrease, so the strength was no longer there. So what we want to do is to rebuild these social organizations. And ours is called the UALC. Now, the UALC has two fundamental directives or mandates. We want to do two things. First thing we want to do is to create a think tank. And a think tank is where big brains come together and come up with data, produce big solutions. If you are familiar with Project 2025, that's currently a part of the policy initiatives in the current presidential administration. Well, that's a result of a think tank, the Heritage Foundation. They came up with those ideas. Now, those ideas are based on fictitious data, but that doesn't stop them. But anywho, that's what a think tank does. It comes up with data. One of the things that I was trying to talk about the other day is, well, one of the things that we do think about is inequality. But when you say the word inequality, what does that mean? Because that word is subjective. Depending on where you are, where you come from, who your family is, who your mama and daddy is, who your cousins are, all of that plays a critical role in defining what you believe inequality is. So anytime someone tries to address inequality, you have to first identify what that other person's idea of inequality is, or else you'll be addressing it in such a way that doesn't make them has any kind of impact on them at all. So one of the things that a think tank does is it puts data to what inequality is, so that we can define it scientifically and address it on the policy side of it. So a think tank is coming up with data. So in order to come up with the data, you need people from different areas of expertise, criminal justice, uh, social welfare system, who are experts in affordable housing. You need experts in all these different fields so you can compile data so that you can get some good policy. So the UALC is one side of the UALC is just that, a think tank, where we have a coalition of individuals who have expertise in various fields come together and put all of this data together so that we know what the heck we're talking about. And then we can establish policies, whether those policies be directed toward legislation or directed toward court cases. We have a leg to stand on because we have good data to support it. All right, so that's one side. That's the think tank side of UALC. The other side is pipeline. Pipeline for what? Well, let's say, for instance, that in Texas, and I say for it, let's say, for instance, but this is a real life, true thing that's going on. In the state of Texas, we know the state of Texas to be a red state, meaning it's a Republican state. From the top to the bottom, aside from the urban centers like Harris counties, the Dallas counties, those lean Democratic or lean blue. But aside, we have these rural areas that lean red. So that means that on the state level, states, the Senate and the state legislation, they are run by Republican who run those particular entities. But let's say that there is a district in Texas that's held by a Republican person holding that seat in that district. Um, some of these districts are holding Republican uh, people in that district, but they are real vulnerable to Democratic takeover because a lot of people aren't too happy with what's going on in Washington. All of the layoffs, all of the um, price of eggs and stuff like that. People not happy with the Trump administration because a lot of things they're doing not only hurt people who look like us that are from where we are, but it hurts people everywhere unless you have $1 billion in the bank. So in these rural areas run by people in the Republican Party, they're hearing from a lot of their constituents who are not very happy. So this leaves them open and vulnerable to somebody else with a different outlook, different opinion, different vision for that particular district to come in and get elected to a once held Republican seat. But in order to do that, you have to have people who are willing to run in opposition to these people currently holding a red seat. So where does the UALC come in? That's that pipeline. We are actively and aggressively looking for people who are willing to run for public office. If you know of anyone, if you've heard of anybody, if you yourself have ever thought about running for a seat, let me know. Reach out to us because we're building a pipeline of people. And I don't care how old you are, young. I mean, you obviously have to be old enough to run for office, but I don't care how old you are, young, old, in the middle. We're actively and aggressively looking for people who are filled with integrity and think like us. Pursue these seats that are just open for the taking. All right. So the think tank is one part of the UALC, and the pipeline is the other part of the UALC. So as we have these podcasts, identify these real problems, we want to put UALC to work, come up with these real solutions and put it into action. But we're not stopping there, y'all. April 19th, we're having a rally. I'll shoot you the location. Just follow. Don't worry. Just follow us. You'll see the location. But April 19th, 11 o'clock in the morning, we're having a rally. What we're doing is we are putting an end to poverty. Poverty in our district, once and for all. We didn't change. So right now there are about 122,000 to 138,000 people who are living below the poverty line in our district. I'm going to get that number down to zero. But it's not as simple as just throwing money at the problem, because the reason why people are living below the poverty line might be for different reasons, and it is for different reasons. So you can't just throw money at a problem and expect to solve it. You have to address the pain points that cause a person to live under the poverty line, or else nothing's going to change. So what does that mean? We're going to have to address affordable housing. We're going to have to address the criminal justice system. We're going to have to address the healthcare system. There's a lot of things we're going to have to tackle. So we're going to hold this rally April 19th. And this is our kicking off point. There's going to be more to come. But in this rally, y'all, we're going to be tackling our first issue, which is reparations. Oh no, reparations. Yeah, I want my 40 acres in Mulin. I intend to go get it. Why? It's crazy to me that to know that a lot of people, even in our own community, don't feel that we're either owed reparations or that we should even seek reparations. Let me tell you something. It's not about um, getting even, or it's not about um, doing any of this extra stuff. It's just about fixing a problem that hasn't been fixed. Because let me let you in on a little secret when it comes to reparations. It's not a pie in the sky number. It's not something that we just made up. Reparations is something that was promised to us. In other words, reparations is a debt of the United States government that has never been repaid. And I don't care who you are, we don't believe in not paying our debts. You might owe, uh, and this is something that I've always had a big pet peeve with people who take out contracts for credit, with that credit, and say, I'm not going to pay you back, or we avoid calls and things like that. We don't like people who enter into credit agreements and not repay what they promised to pay. When somebody loans you $5, you expect your money back, don't you? Yeah. So reparations is not something that we're asking for that we don't deserve, or we're asking for that we do deserve. It's something that was promised to us and not delivered on. When Abraham Lincoln was alive and in office, coming toward the end of the Civil War, an order was approved that took 400,000 acres along the coastlines of South Carolina, Florida, and Georgia. 400,000 acres of abandoned or Confederate property along the coastlines of those three states. It was set aside for newly freed slaves. The way they uh, distributed it was for a family of four, they calculated. Each member would get 10 acres. That's how you come up with 40 acres. So for every family, you might have had 10 in your family or whatever, but they handed it out or divided it up based on a four-member family. So they gave out 40 acres to every newly freed slave family. And later on, some of those families also got a mule, which is where the mule came into play. That wasn't a part of the actual order, but it was something that they had started giving out to some of the families who had already received this. But once Lincoln was assassinated, and Andrew Jackson, who was a friend of the Confederacy, took position as president of the United States, reneged on it, canceled it, said, no, we're not doing that. So he took back what was already given and ended the program. Took back from there were some slaves who had gotten it, took the land back from them, gave it back to the Confederate owners, and the program no longer existed because of this newly elected, or this new president, Andrew Jackson. Can you imagine what the United States would look like right now, where we had a section of the United States where it was predominantly Black people, successful, rich because we have land of our own, everything been run. Can you imagine what it would look like where the coastline, and this is prime property right now, y'all, coastlines. If you are anywhere on the coast, man, people want your property because they can set up resorts and all this kind of stuff. So can you imagine owning all that acreage on coastline of these three states? It'd be awesome. But that's not how it ended up. Not how it ended up. But that's where we are. Reparations are a debt that have never been repaid. So all we're simply doing is going after that debt. Now sit back. I want you to watch this video because there's something else I want to bring up. Now, in place of it, hold on. In place of this video next time, Lord willing, we'll have a member from either inside or out of the community addressing issues that they've seen that they'd like to see addressed. And then after the video shows of them, we'll come back and we'll talk about what they just brought up. For now, I want you to watch this video, okay? Hold on.
Bob, what's up? It's good to see you. Hey, this is going to be quick. I shouldn't be out here. I've been sick for the last couple of days, and it's kind of cool out here now. Didn't know it, but it is. So if my wife knew I was out here, she'd be pissed. So I'm going to ask you, Bob, not to tell her, okay? Shh, it's between me and you. Listen, real fast. Been seeing all over the place things about boycotts. Everything from a 1 day to a 2 day to a 3 day, a week, even 180 day. And I think the last one that I saw was like a 40-day boycott. They don't work, guys. They don't work. Corporations understand that eventually you'll come back. And if they just weather the storm, they'll be okay and get back to business as usual. They may make a couple of changes in the interim, but eventually they'll click back to whatever they were doing before that made you upset in the first place. So boycotts don't work because we always come back. And I'm not so sure that many of us who are boycotting even know why we are boycotting. We'll say DEI, things of that sort. But listen, the reason why I'm boycotting or doing what I'm about to suggest now is simply because corporations have contributed to this entire wealth gap thing that we have going on right now. The gap between the have and the have-nots, the us and the them. And it's widening because of their political power, their financial strength, and it's only going to get worse. So we got to do something now to stop that progression. And we're not going to do it with small-time boycotts. It's not going to happen. So what I propose is, well, let me go back. Instead of doing a boycott where we tell people not to do something. A long time ago, when I was younger, friends would tell me that, older friends would tell me that, hey, Rodney, you should invest your money, put it back, save it. But the problem was I wanted to do that, but they never quite told me where exactly to put the money that I was supposed to put back. They didn't tell me how to invest. So I ended up not investing way back in my younger days like I should have. And that's part of the problem with these boycotts. We tell people not to shop, not to do these things, but don't give them alternatives. So I'm going to make it real easy. I'm going to pick two companies. And these two companies will be Walmart and Wells Fargo. And I'll send out some literature as to why these two. Walmart and Wells Fargo. What we want to do is, it's not going to be a 1 day, 40 day, not even 180 day thing. It's not going to be a boycott. It's not going to be a protest. This is going to be a permanent economic realignment. What does that mean? It means simply that we're leaving these places and we're never coming back. We're going to leave and never come back. Simple as that. So when you need to shop, you have plenty of choices. Shop anywhere except for Walmart. When you need to bank, put your money anywhere except for Wells Fargo. Not putting any limitations on it. Not telling you what to do. Just don't do those two places. And it's not going to be a quick thing. We are leaving and we're never coming back. This is going to show and be a warning to all the other corporations that we mean what we're saying. We mean business. So, once again, this is not a boycott. This is not a protest. This is a permanent economic realignment where we're simply choosing to go somewhere else, and we're going to stay there. Okay? We're leaving and we're never coming back. So, Walmart and Wells Fargo. And I promise you that if we take these actions, we'll start to see the changes that we want to see. And it goes beyond the DEIs and the anger with Doge and all these other things, because it'll cut straight to the core of the issues, which is the problem that the corporations present when it comes to creating this wealth gap. Okay? So I know you love Walmart. And I don't know how much you're in love with Wells Fargo, but it's not that hard. Go anywhere you want. Just don't go there.
All right. Thank you for joining us and thank you for watching that video. Hey, listen, for a fact that you've heard all the talk about the boycotts, and I believe in Atlanta, whatever that pastor's name is, talking about doing a, I forgot what it was, 180-day fast from, or maybe it's a 40-day fast from Target. But all of these boycotts, and I said that boycotts don't work, and you'll hear otherwise in social media, because I just saw this video of this lady a couple of days ago talking about, well, first of all, she showed a clip or a screenshot of current day price of a share of Target stock. And I think it was something like $104. So right now you can get a share of uh, ownership in Target for $104. And she was talking about how, yeah, y'all see, y'all, this boycott does work because their shares are going down. The price of their shares are going down. Now, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that, you know what? This is March and all the inflation talk and all the talk about tariff. The entire market is going down. Everybody's stocks are going down. It's not just them, not just Target, it's everybody. Now, in transparency, Target's shares are dropping further than most others, more than the market and more than their competitors. But listen, there's a reason why. Because if you go back further than the last few days, further than the last couple of weeks, go back all the way about 6 months, you'll see that Target's share prices have been dropping since then. I don't believe there were any boycotts way back then. Because if you look back, I believe it was October 15th, their shares were $160 each. $160 per share. And around November, I think the 21st, it dropped dramatically all the way to about $121. And since then, it's been going up and down to 130, down up to 140, down to 120 again. Finally get to where it is now, to 104 or so. So what's my point? My point is that there's something else going on with Target. So while these people who are boycotting are taking their share of responsibility for Target's share prices dropping, I'm telling you that there's something else going on with Target. I don't know what. All I do know is when you look at the data, prices have been dropping before the boycotts were happening. So ultimately, what I'm trying to tell you is that boycotts don't work. Because you boycott a day, 2 days, 2 weeks, a month, they know you're coming back. My solution is to leave and never come back. Simple as that. Now, my solution was to throw out Walmart and Wells Fargo. My reasons there. If you chose Target, if we choose Target, my solution there is to forget about the boycotts, temporary boycotts, and leave them and never come back. So this is one of the things that we're going to be talking about at our rally, April 19th. We're going to be coming up with, who do we want to target? I suggested Walmart and Wells Fargo. We can target anybody we want to, but here is the key. We have to be stubborn enough to leave and never come back, because that's the only way ultimate change is going to happen. All right? So this has been Apex Ascend. I appreciate you stopping by, where truth meets transformation.